This was a prison housing hardened criminals. A group of prison bullies planned to teach the new inmate a lesson, but they never expected the man before them to be a professional boxer. Terry landed just one punch, knocking the bully to the ground. Guards then escorted him to the infirmary and promptly called Ray. Since Terry refused bail, Ray bribed the guards to look after him. Later, Ray tracked down Fanny's daughter, a woman named Paige. He had high regard for Ray's abilities and hoped Ray could resolve a matter for her. Paige owned her own football team, but one of her players had gotten into trouble. It turned out Carl had a peculiar fetish. He particularly enjoyed seducing married women. Unexpectedly, the woman's husband was a member of the Navy SEALs and threatened to kill the player. So Paige prepared $500,000 as leverage and asked Ray to handle the situation. Ray tracked down Carl and laid out the terms directly, but Carl refused to back down, adamant about killing the player. With no other option, Ray shared his own story with Carl, how his wife had betrayed him too, yet he chose not to seek revenge, and no one had ever offered him $500,000. Reek hoped Carl would accept the money and promised to help him start anew. Ultimately persuaded by Reek, Carl agreed to settle with the other party. Rick escorted him to a hotel where Paige was already waiting. She handed Carl a room key, stating her lawyer would finalize the agreement with him. As Carl turned to enter the hotel, Paige stopped Rick, claiming she needed to tell him something important. She led him to her sports car and began showing it off. But after a few words, Paige got into the car and prepared to leave. Rick instantly had a bad feeling. When he rushed to the hotel room,
"You fucking liar!"
It turned out this was all Paige's scheme. There was no lawyer in the room, only the player and Carl's wife. The player ended up with one arm broken by Carl on the spot. Rake immediately confronted Paige face to face. It turned out she never intended to pay for a settlement with Carl. Discovering he'd been tricked, Rake flew into a rage and warned her.
"You tell him I want a check for $500,000 made out to Carl Lefeld today."
Or what?
Or I'm gonna put you in the trunk of that Aston Martin and drive it off a fucking cliff.